volunteers and the people who helped us get this event together, who donated their time and energy. We couldn't do it without you guys, and you're a huge reason for all of us being here, so thank you for that. Since being on the board, I've noticed two types of conversations that people will come up to me and say, you know, that either townspeople or people I work with, people who know I'm on the board, it's usually consists of how are things going, or I don't know how you do it. And that's usually what people will say to me. To say that some of it has been a struggle is an understatement. The only consistently positive part of my being on the board is Tim. Knowing that we are really trying to advocate for the people who voted for us and represent them in the best way that we know how. And he's usually the one pushing me towards different ideas, so thank you. Tim's the reason I'm on the board. He's the reason I even dip my toe in town issues at all. So without that, I wouldn't be standing here, and it's been a heck of a journey. I've known Tim since we were kids, and I consider him one of my very good friends. He's been a tireless advocate for transparency. As I've said before, the amount of time that he spends preparing for our meetings would boggle my mind. I mean,
frankly embarrassing.
Yeah, like 4 a.m. we'll be on the phone talking about what we're planning to talk about, or what we found, or sending a screenshot, or an email. I mean, it's just ridiculous. He's been relentlessly trying to save taxpayers money at every turn over his time in office, as well as talking about it before that he got in office. Thankfully, he has made progress over time. Truly, it is a taxpayer win having him on the board. He's been trying to get zoning amendments passed for years, bringing up topics that he's been asked to bring up by townspeople. He is advocating for you. He's listening to you. He's speaking for the townspeople, representing them at the table. Even if it's not the popular opinion, he is not shy. That is one thing for sure. In a nutshell, Tim Wallace is representing regulating short-term rentals, staying under the tax cap, allowing for better and more efficient use of our occupancy tax dollars, advocating for smart development. That's just a handful of the things that he is advocating for. If anything that he has ever said, rallied for, advocated for, rings true to you, and you'd like to help get those things passed, he needs your vote, obviously, and your support. Donations to his campaign are the best way to help the progress, but if you can't donate financially, helping with mailings, holding an event would be amazing. Something as small as talking to your neighbors, sharing your perspective on him, talking about going to the town meeting, seeing what we're going through, putting his sign in your yard would all go a long way towards him getting elected. And as I've said before, he's proven time and time again that he's listening to the people that he represents. He's trying to make change, and none of these happen unless we get people in office who are thinking along the same track. And having a different agenda is okay, and hopefully it represents your ideals. Thank you.
Well, there are some people here who I don't know, so I'll talk about myself a little bit. There's a lot of people here who this will be very, they know all of this, but there's definitely people here who don't. So, can everyone hear okay?
Stand up.
Raise it up.
Yeah, stand up.
You got this.
So I grew up in Wilmington, graduated Lake Placid High School, then attended Georgetown University. After college, I spent most of my 20s and some of my 30s in the DC area. During that time, I worked for the Washington Post Company for 8 years, for CBRE, for the Federal News Service, and for the very prestigious, most prestigious of all, The Onion, which is why I have so many good quips. I graduated law school in 2020, received my law license in 2021, and I've served on Wilmington's town board since 2022. So after Laura and Randy and I ran as a team 2 years ago, And it was not the result we were hoping for. And Laura and I, we tried to be optimistic. You have to be optimistic. And frankly, it's worse than we expected. It's worse. We didn't think it was going to be great, and it's worse. So if it was good, we would not be up here. I'm running for town supervisor because there are many issues that ought to be addressed, and the present supervisor lacks the ability or desire to do so. Clear cutting and deforestation are transforming Wilmington at a pace that many residents do not want. And we have to recognize that multiple landmark properties in town are currently on the market. So unless we get on the ball, it's going to be just a repeat of what we've seen the past few years. However, simple, straightforward zoning amendments that have worked for other towns, they're moving roughly as fast as molasses on Christmas Eve. They're mired in indifference and confusion. Indifference also defined the current town board's efforts to stand under the property tax cap this year. I mean, the exact quote was, "I want to get this over with." It was only a $26,000, there's cameras here, it was roughly $26,000. It's a $26,000 gap we needed to bridge to stand under the tax cap. No, who cares? Let's vote on it, 3-2 vote as usual, slam it through, let's get it done, let's move on, I don't care about this, was the approach. The zoning is really bad. The fact that we have made no progress, and I honestly don't expect to make any progress. We're trying, we are sincerely trying. We've been trying. Worse, to me, maybe even worse than the zoning, is the town summer youth program, which does not exist. Present town supervisor ignored it until it became an emergency, which ultimately resulted in the cancellation of the town summer youth program this summer. Completely characteristic. It shouldn't be this way, and it doesn't have to be this way. I want to answer your questions, I want to hear your thoughts, and I want to hear your concerns. Let's roll up our sleeves, and let's work together for a better future for Wilmington.